Hello, it's Paul Beckwith. It's a rainy night in Ottawa, very late. The only people around are myself and the guys lying on the streets after a few too many beers and the street sweepers. So I thought I would talk about near-term human extinction because I met with, Guy McPherson visited a week ago. And he's got when he talks about near-term human extinction, near-term is, for him, it's about 20, 30-year sort of time frame. So a lot of people were asking me what my views were on that, so thus I'm doing this video. So I'll start at the extreme. So Guy is at one end of the spectrum. You know, he doesn't give a mechanism, but he looks at the overall system and the feedbacks, and he says, you know, things aren't looking good for the home team, which is us. And he talks about a 2030 or 2050 time frame. But again, 2030, 2040, 2050. But he doesn't give mechanisms. He does mention that, he doesn't say how people actually die in his scenario. I mean, what happens to, you know, we run out of food completely. You know, we set off nukes. He doesn't say. He does say that, you know, there's a lot of nuclear power plants, and when society breaks down, if they're not dealt with properly, then they could melt down and cause many, many deaths. But, you know, and we talked about this in great detail in our filming. We filmed for 3 hours, and then we did a 2-hour webinar about a week ago. So I wanted to, but you know, and near-term human extinction is a pretty dire topic. It's a pretty important topic that gets people's attention. So I thought I'd do this video to clear up, you know, talk about my views. So if you're a geologist, near-term could be, you know, 1,000 years, you know, maybe 500 years, maybe 10,000 years. You know, it's that's what near term would be to you. You know, far term would be 10 million, 100 million years, or even billions of years. So geologists, this is one of the reasons why a lot of geologists are climate deniers. Maybe not so many lately. The climate deniers seem to be going extinct. So maybe we should talk about near-term extinction for climate deniers, or at least you know, or at least a return to rationality for you know, climate deniers looking at the evidence. So, you know, on a more recent time frame, Stephen Hawking a while ago said that humans need to colonize other planets, and he said that because, you know, we need to do that for survival reasons. You know, we could make this planet uninhabitable in 200-300 years, so we have to head out to other planets to ensure the survival of the human race. So near term to him could be, you know, 200 or 300 years. James Lovelock, if you've read his books Gaia and Revenge of Gaia, he was talking about, let's see, you know, we have 7 billion people on the planet now. He was talking about us going down to about 1 billion or so by 2100 in his books. And most of us would be living in the far north because vast areas of the planet would be uninhabitable where people are now. So that's not an extinction, but, you know, maybe that would follow if the planet kept warming and these feedbacks kept going. So anyway, he's at least 2100 and beyond. What does the IPCC say? Well, I mean, they never talk about what'll happen to humans, but their models show, you know, by 2100, temperatures will rise anywhere from, you know, a couple degrees to 4.5, 5 degrees, you know, with the mean being 3 degrees Celsius. That would be average temperature rise. But then some of their models show a rise up to about 10 degrees Celsius by 2100. So, you know, most people, most ecologists or biologists, you know, if you look at the human body, you know, if the dew point temperature is greater than 35, you're not able to radiate that 100 watts of heat that an average adult puts out. So even if it's very windy, you know, you can't do much. So 10 degrees Celsius average temperature rise, you know, would be very, very bad for civilization and humanity. And it's not just the rise, it's the rate of temperature change that's key. Because if the rise is slow enough, we can adapt. So the IPCC models, you know, at the extreme high end of temperature rise, you know, that's pretty much near-term extinction. 10 degrees, I don't see many people surviving that, if any. Like, it's mind-boggling. You know, that type of rise. You know, overall, I mean, how do we grow food? You know, everything would be changing, right? We'd certainly have a mass extinction of animals, of flora and fauna. You know, we kind of need those things. You know, the ocean acidification would basically destroy the food chain there, and, you know, you can't survive on land without the life in the oceans. The converse is true. But you know, the oceans are really suffering. So that's the IPCC view. You know, it's similar to Lovelock's books. Although Lovelock has since backed off, apparently, from his calling human population being about 1 billion in 2100. He's backed off, but then I saw a recent blog where he says, you know, enjoy your life right now, because, you know, who knows what's going to happen. It's probably not going to be good. And then, you know, you get to, so some of the critics of Guy McPherson's, you know, views are saying, well, yeah, I mean, Guy's crazy, you know, 2040, 2050 just can't happen, it's too soon. And then on the other hand, they say, well, I don't think humans would survive a 10-degree rise. So that puts them into the 2100 camp. So I guess, you know, where do I fit in? Well, I think we're undergoing an abrupt change now. I think the temperature could rise, you know, 5-6 degrees in several decades, you know, 10, 20, 30 years. You know, it rose 5 degrees in the Paleo-Eocene thermal maximum in about 13 years. You know, the climate system is certainly capable of large increases in temperature, and you know, that would probably require large release of methane from the Arctic regions. You know, methane is a very, very strong greenhouse gas. Global warming potential compared to CO2 is greater than about 150 times on a few-year time scale. So that's the type of thing that would have to happen. So if Arctic sea ice is gone in the summer of 2016, as the Maslowski postgraduate naval research lab model, as of 2007, said that the sea ice could be gone by 2016 plus or minus 3 years. The exponential trend is showing that that's quite possible. Also, the exponential decline in snow cover in the spring is showing that. Peter Wadham's, a colleague of mine in the Arctic Methane Emergency Group, you know, agrees with that. I kind of think, yeah, probably, unless there's some strong negative feedbacks, you know, it's very possible. So, if that happens, then the additional warming, because all the heat in the Arctic would not be necessary to melt ice if it's gone. It would cause the ocean to be open for several months of the year within that first loss of ice in September, say 2016, and within a decade or so it could be gone year-round, and that would certainly rocket us up into this 5 or 6 degree range. And it's going to cause a lot of turmoil. I would not say that it would cause an extinction. I think it's going to cause tremendous turmoil, and it depends on what we do in the interim. And also, I truly believe that we can slow down that process, stall that process of ice loss by geoengineering, either marine cloud brightening or sulfur dioxide up in the stratosphere. I've talked about that before. So, there could be strong negative feedbacks in the system. We could actually get our act together. Humans could get their act together and try to stop what's going on, slow it down. Science cannot really say, give a time frame for what will or will not happen with humans. We can, notice the IPCC never talks about what they think, how they think humanity will be able to deal or not deal with temperature rises. You have to look at many different disciplines and be able to make a call on that. So I don't know if I really answered the question, but that's sort of where I'm at right now. So anyway, thank you.